All right, guys, let's talk about some basic ideas of trigonometry. If you have never, ever seen trigonometry before, this is the video for you. We're going to start off with this right triangle. And a right triangle is a triangle that has a right angle, a 90-degree angle, all right? This angle over here is going to be called x, or angle x in this case. And we're going to think about the names of these sides. We're going to call this the opposite side. Why? Because it's across from the angle. Now notice that the angle doesn't in any way touch the opposite side. The side next to it is, we're going to call this the adjacent side. Adjacent just means next to. So this side over here is adjacent to angle x. And notice that angle x does touch the adjacent side. And of course, the biggest side is the hypotenuse, and that is the side that's across from the 90-degree angle. So the key thing to realize is if we're looking at an angle, the opposite side is the one that it doesn't in any way touch. See, this line over here does not touch this angle. All right, let's go on to the next phase. It's time to learn about what sine and cosine and tangent are. So now we've marked the angle theta. You'll often see angles marked with the Greek letter theta, which is basically like an O with a line through it. And again, the opposite side is this one over here, the adjacent side here, and the hypotenuse is obviously the hypotenuse. The sine of theta, which is abbreviated like this, but spelled S-I-N-E, the sine of theta is the opposite over the hypotenuse. The cosine of theta is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And the tangent of theta is the opposite over the adjacent. And here's a way that people memorize it. SOHCAHTOA. And that's short for sine equals opposite over hypotenuse, cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent equals opposite over adjacent. Let's do an example. Over here, we're going to find the sine of theta. We know that sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. This is theta over here. The sine of theta is the opposite, which is 3, over the hypotenuse, which is 5. So the sine of theta is 3/5 for this particular triangle. This is the basics of trigonometry, of right triangle trigonometry. We're going to build on this a lot, but whether you're using this for physics or pre-calculus, calculus, the fundamentals of trigonometry come down to these basic ideas, which is that the sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse, the cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, and the tangent is the opposite over the adjacent.